And here's what you need to know.
From the Goldberg-Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg-Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
It is 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Justin Myers with you. Portland Trail Blazers return to action tonight against the Utah Jazz. Tip-off at 7 o'clock at Moda Center. Pregame coverage begins at 4:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. News around the NBA yesterday. It started with the suspension of Draymond Green indefinitely by the NBA. We will dive into what is the parameters and the proper definition of indefinite, because some people don't know what that word means. League says certain conditions for the NBA and the Warriors must be met before he returns to action. It was 64 points for Giannis and the Bucks last night. Also, Damian Lillard has moved into fifth all-time in NBA three-pointers made. But there was a scuffle after the game with the Indiana Pacers with regards to the game ball gate in Milwaukee. Dan Pizzuta from the Sharp Football Network is going to be joining us, or Sharp Football Analysis joining us in hour number 3. But hour number 1 of RCM starts right now at 620 Rip City Radio.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio. It's time for Justin Myers to wake you up here on Rip City Mornings, 620 Rip City Radio.
And a very happy Thursday. It is all for the CNM. I'm your host, Justin Myers. Super producer Brendan is safely partitioned on the other side of the glass. Thanks for getting up early with us or staying up late, however you are rolling on this particular Thursday. Got a lot of stuff to dive into on the big show today. Brendan, I noticed in the update, for those that are new to the program, welcome. Hang out for a little while. It's going to seem a little bit weird, then you'll get the hang of it. But for those that are new, super producer Brendan, he is a writer by trade. He is forced into this radio world. He would rather be writing with his press hat on, but he gets to goof around with me for a couple of hours early in the morning. But he writes the updates. That is why when I don't go rogue, they sound as good as they do. I've noticed, though, Brendan, in the update today, you did not include Thursday Night Football. Is that because it is going to be a disgusting portrayal of actual professional football between the Chargers with no Justin Herbert sitting there at 5-7 and the Las Vegas Raiders, who are absolutely atrocious? Is it because you just could not bring yourself to even think about actual NFL football being played tonight? Because it is going to be a terrible game.
Yeah, I knew the Blazers played tonight, Justin. I wish I could say that was it, but I'll plead the fifth and say aloof because, I knew it was Thursday, but the wires didn't quite click for it being Thursday Night Football. So it's true. Good point.
It is going to be an awful game. I'm just going to throw we all thought last week Steelers-Patriots was going to be absolutely atrocious. Turned out it was actually a pretty good game. So I wonder.
We're going to see some Easton Stick for the Chargers versus Aiden O'Connell. What a matchup, Justin. What a matchup.
And again, look, the NFL is doing just fine. All right. The NFL, they're printing money over there. They are not worried. Roger Goodell is sitting there in his fancy leather chair that used to be in his basement, and then it went to the Hall of Fame. I saw it in person. I was like, that's a little weird thing to be in the Hall of Fame. But
his chair?
Yeah, don't you remember? So Roger Goodell, remember when they did the COVID draft? And Roger Goodell was in his basement, and he was standing up for, like, the first round. And then he had that leather lounge chair that he moved to because he kept announcing things or announcing picks. And everybody on Twitter, because it got to be a weird draft, started commenting on Roger Goodell's basement chair that he was sitting in. So the chair actually made it to the Hall of Fame. I saw it. It was right there in the entrance to the Hall of Fame.
That's nuts. That's cool.
When I went to the Hall of Fame in 2021, like, you go into the hall, buy your ticket, take a right. Hey, there's Roger Goodell's leather chair. Thought it was a little self-promoting, but regardless, he's a commissioner. He gets to do what he wants. So Roger Goodell's sitting up there in his high horse in the NFL offices there in New York City. They are not worried about it at all. But do you imagine this matchup at the beginning of the year? It's like, hey, we got AFC divisional matchup. Remember a couple years ago, the Raiders and the Chargers, it came right down to the wire. And it was like, if they tie, they're both going to go to the playoffs. And then the Chargers got all weird with the timeouts. So then the only good thing Josh McDaniel ever did as a head coach, would say, oh, yeah, you're calling timeouts and getting, like, I was going to run out the clock so we can both make the playoffs. You want to call timeouts, Brandon Staley? Fine. We're going to try to play now. Gained about 14 yards, kicked a field goal, won it in overtime. They go to the playoffs. Chargers are eliminated. Steelers go to the playoffs because of it, giving Big Ben one extra game. They're like, oh, so you got a little rivalry. Herbert and Jimmy G, right? What's up? Well, Jimmy G's gone. Josh McDaniel's been fired. Justin Herbert's out for the year. Brandon Staley's, is he dead coach walking? We don't know. People are already talking about, is Bill Belichick going to go to the Chargers? Like, could you imagine what life must be like for Brandon Staley? What is life like for a guy like Brandon Staley, who's just like, no, I'm still the coach. And like people on ESPN just openly talking about, should Bill Belichick take the Chargers job? And it's like, hey, ain't open yet. Did you mean Raiders? Because they got an interim coach.
Yeah, you know
and Antonio Pierce. Like, did you mean Carolina? Is he going to go there? It's like, no. He might go to the Chargers. Like, hey, that job ain't open yet. Yes, Brendan.
Yeah, it reminds me of very similarly, Justin, to like, I'm going to go to college reference. It's like how everybody started saying Manny Diaz would be fired at Miami for Mario Cristobal.
Oh, yeah.
Like 3 weeks before the season was even over.
Everybody knew it.
And he had a winning record. Like, it wasn't like 10 wins, but he was like, pretty sure it was like 8-4 that year or 7-5. And it's like, oh yeah, like you knew for like 3 weeks, oh yeah, he can get fired. It's like, I'm still the coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Except for you are not the coach. We are probably in conversations already with another coach, guy who used to play here. And he has a really good team.
No decisions have been made.
Except for that team is going to lose 2 of their last 3 and end up in the Alamo Bowl instead of the college football playoff. Wonder if it was coach distraction. Seems to be going around these days as well. So, to all that being said, we got Chargers Raiders tonight. So we'll dive into some NFL stuff. We're going to talk to Dan Pizzuta, Sharp Football Analysis, get his thoughts on, man, what's going on with all these backup quarterbacks? The amount of money you have to invest in your starting quarterback, I wonder if that is kind of creating a trend, because I'm sorry. Brendan, I was watching the Chargers-Broncos on Sunday, and because there was not much else going on. The Vikings and the Raiders were in a 0-0 tie where they could, but like, you're telling me there's nobody else out there in the world other than what's Easton Sharp or Sap?
Stick. Yep.
Easton
Stick.
New starter with an S though. Slippy, Slappy, Swanson.
Way off.
New starter with an S though.
Check the phone book.
You're telling me, like.
Oh, phone books. Remember phone books, Justin? Sorry. Don't mean to trigger, but I just think of them sitting out there, flipping through the phone. She must be unlisted.
Young Brendan, you do not know about the phone book. Let me tell you. You do not know about the phone book, all right? You do not understand how, like, you want a pizza? Let's go. Pizza. All right, there it is.
I know you.
Now I knew Abby's phone number by heart, but then every once in a while I was like, "Oh,
I know
you
you
get Domino's, or we get?"
I know you look at me and see youth, Justin. I remember flipping through the yellow pages to find like the number for Domino's in town or Pizza Hut when we didn't, have it. I remember the time we didn't have a desktop in our house. Like there was no computer. It was like, I'm old enough to just remember that, Justin, and not to mention, enough times past the statute limitations. Where do you think we got all of our numbers for our star 6-7s?
Well, see, we didn't do star 6-7 because I lived in a small little backwoods town. We didn't have. Let me throw this out at you. I know the exact year that me in Winston, Oregon, my family got caller ID. Right, I know the exact year. So I would like you to venture a guess as to when in the whole span of the universe, when did caller ID become available in my town?
Let me think. So caller ID has pretty much been around since I've. So okay, so at least.
Cross.
Yeah, let's
Carry
say
the 2.
Let's say 1992.
It was 1999
Okay.
when caller ID became available in my town.
So it
we
was.
were doing.
It was after I was born. Okay.
There was no *67 needed. You just called.
That's helpful. That's helpful.
Here's again. This is how old I am. In my tiny little town, every phone number started with 679. Every single phone. If you grew up in Winston, Oregon, you had a 679 phone number. Because everybody in my town, and because there was a difference between local calls and long-distance calls, did you ever have to pay for long-distance calls or have that conversation of like, hey, I want to call Grandma? Well, it's long-distance. Wait till after 5
Thankfully,
o'clock.
we were, no.
Yeah. You didn't live in that world either.
I do remember when the phone was attached to a cord.
Yes.
And I couldn't walk around
So,
with
like,
it.
there was a local call, right, which was all the 679 numbers, or if you called 672, which was Roseburg. So as all the local calls, you didn't have to put in a 541, or even way back when it was still 503 for the entire state. Because my town was so small, it was 679 was every phone number. You just only had to dial 9. Bup, 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 bup. And that's how everybody gave their phone number. So, like if your phone number was 679-1234, right? You would go like, hey, my mom needs your phone number for when I'm staying the night. Yeah, it's 91234. Like that's how everybody gave their phone number. Little tales from Uncle Justin.
I was just curious because, man, I can definitely remember when those used to get delivered to the house. And if you were to ask my siblings what a phone book is, they probably would look at me like I was an alien from a different planet.
And it's, look,
you can't just Google. Justin, you couldn't just Google the number of your favorite restaurant for takeout in 2002?
Or you could just, and then or go on your app and just boom.
Yeah, you couldn't drop an app order.
You just go on Mickey D's app and just boom. No, yeah. All right. But here's the thing. Like, I wax nostalgic all the time on this particular program, but I will tell you right now, Google is way better.
Oh, yeah.
Life is so much better with Google. There's a lot of technology that's made our lives worse. Google has made it so much better.
Would you have pegged, Justin, because obviously I was a tyke when, the Google was getting started, but you were kind of, in my age range.
Yes, when Google started, I was high school.
Yeah.
Google was around. Yahoo started the game.
Right.
And then Google came in and was like, yeah, sorry, Yahoo, but we're in charge now.
So that's my question for you is, would you have ever expected, like, because you obviously saw the internet dawn, you were in your, it's still fascinating that, like, and then, like, there was a time, like, when the internet just did not
exist. We couldn't fathom it. Didn't know what it was.
Right. So
it was like we couldn't even miss it. We didn't even know what wasn't there because
if a tree falls in the forest, right?
Yeah.
It's true. But no, did you ever think then, like when you're like, oh yeah, no, I can jump on AOL or Yahoo or Google, like, can you believe that just Google became such a cultural term?
Yeah, it became a verb.
Right.
Google it.
Exactly. Like, you wouldn't have expected it to be Yahoo it or Bing it.
They thought for a minute Yahoo thought they had it, man.
Right.
They did. They thought they had it, and then Larry
it's just fascinating to me.
Sergey and Larry came in and was like, yeah, we're going to make it way better.
A verb, like you said, Justin, a verb. Like, you ask anybody anything anytime. I don't know what that is. Google it.
Well, see, because, again, growing up, it was look it up. Which was the worst. Like, how do you spell? Look it up. And go grab the dictionary and bing, bing, bing. Or you're like, hey, what's the capital of,
Iowa.
Capital, well, yeah. But I was great with state capitals, though.
Oh, yeah?
I knew it was the great city of Des Moines. But
impressed. There you go.
I was awesome with state capitals. But if you didn't know, it would be like, so then you had to go to the Encyclopedia Britannica that most people had, right? You have to go, all right, Iowa, capital. Like, I don't know how we got anything done. Now,
Either that, I always had to go to the thesaurus to always look up.
Oh, yeah.
I've always had to
Go
remember
to the
going
thesaurus.
Yep.
You had to go to the almanac. Or
to the almanac.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude. All of it just sitting on the bookshelf. It's the worst. And if you didn't, you had to go to like the library. Oh boy,
What a world we live in now.
what a crazy world. What were we talking about? Football? Yeah, that's what we were talking about. But we're gonna talk some NBA because obviously the Draymond Green thing happened. He has been suspended indefinitely, indefinite suspension. Which I don't know. A lot of people on the internet don't understand the definition of the term indefinite. I'm quite familiar with it because of one particular suspension in my career that I covered very closely. It also hit close to super producer Brendan's heart. He wasn't in the media back then. He was just a young whippersnapper mad at the world. But we're going to dive into the Draymond Green suspension. Also, this fight over the game ball that's going on between the Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. So around the NBA with interesting stories from yesterday. That's coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right. So a couple of interesting things from the NBA yesterday that have nothing to do with the Blazers. Blazers are back in action tonight, though. They're going to be taking on the Utah Jazz. I know it's early. We haven't even gotten to Christmas, and I know that kind of the basic rule is, don't worry about the NBA until Christmas. But, we're about a quarter of the way through the season, right, for a lot of teams. Jazz are 8-16. This is kind of a bit of a disappointment, right? They should be further along in their rebuild, aren't they? Am I wrong on that? Because I thought like last year they were like on the outside looking in. Felt like they had Markkanen and they were getting some things going. They felt like they kind of weathered the storm when they traded away Gobert and traded away Donovan Mitchell and got some pieces back. But 8-6 is pretty disappointing. Wouldn't you say for the Utah Jazz? Am I out of turn on this one?
No, it's not out of turn. I think it's just like when you look last year, Justin, they were kind of fool's gold. Shout out the great Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson movie.
That is a good movie. That doesn't get it. Donald Sutherland, by the way.
It is hated
young
on.
Kevin Hart.
It is hated on by people.
Who hates on fool's gold?
If you
bring them to me,
if you Google
bring them right here, right now, Brendan. Bring me the people who will hate on the movie Fool's Gold, and I shall tell them you're full of puppets.
Yeah, it's a quality movie. One of those like rom-coms that I'm like, oh yeah, I'd watch anytime. But beside all that, I think that the Jazz kind of got hot. No one knew what they were, and now though, Justin, you look at it. Markkanen's a nice piece.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Kessler's a nice piece.
Yeah.
Who else there is like Jordan Clarkson was great last year, but we all knew he was kind of a glorified six-man anyway. And then like John Collins, we see why Atlanta was quick to ship him out.
Yeah, they did.
I think they're kind of like the Blazers, but I think the Blazers have a lot more young talent. If that's and maybe that's bold considering who they still have. Lennox a nice piece, but like. I'd take the Blazers' young core over their young core.
There's a process here, right, where with young players, where the Blazers are in a good spot with Shaden and with Scoot specifically. Don't know what we got. Don't know yet. Think we got some things there.
And DeAndre Ayton's young enough. You love that. Yeah,
maybe even DeAndre Ayton. Getting there, though. But there's the, all right, they're young, don't know what we got, and so as fans, we all just think the most positive thing ever, right? It's the backup quarterback theory. It's like, Oregon fans at one point in time, not to bring it back to college football, but Oregon fans at one point in time in 2021 were chanting for Ty Thompson to get into the game to play instead of Anthony Brown, who, by the way, is still in the NFL right now. And they were winning all of their games, including a win against Ohio State in the Horseshoe. And Oregon fans, because they were used to a gajillion points, never mind that Mario Cristobal was playing a big old dud style of offense, they were chanting for Ty Thompson because they knew he was. No, it's because they'd never seen him fail. Because it was 5-star, all potential. And like with the Blazers, and I get it. Look, I'm all for optimism and I'm for positivity because we are, if anything, we are puppy dogs and rainbows. And, what is it? Christmas time, right? Is all sugar plums and candy canes, even though we don't really like candy canes. So like with Scoot and with Shaden, it's like, those guys could be potential all-stars. And I think they could. Say a little bit with DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, though, is kind of slipping into the, all right, now we kind of know who you are. And still doesn't mean it's going to be bad. But like John Collins, we kind of know who he is. Good player, starter in the NBA, but I don't know if he's going to be a bit of a difference maker. Same with like Jordan Clark. Like the Jazz are getting into that. We kind of know who you are. And it's like same. It's not always negative, though. Because like the Oklahoma City Thunder, we didn't know 2 years ago about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander until all of a sudden he's like, this dude is a walking, living, breathing bucket.
I mean, they just
at any point in time in his he's on the floor, dude can get buckets. And then now it's like, oh yeah, he's an all-star. He might be an all-NBA player. He might be an MVP in the MVP conversation because Oklahoma City Thunder are 15-7, and he's their best player. Like Chet's pretty good too, by the way. But like we don't know what Chet is either. But we certainly know who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. So
because the Thunder, I mean, for what it's worth, Justin, like they just they would still be impressive if they only had, let's just say, Shai and Chet. it would still be like, wow, even pivoting off Russell Westbrook and Paul George being waved away to have those two guys. But then you look at, the rest of their team and the way that they have built that team. Like, Justin, that is not two players who are like, you got both of the Williams dudes who were rookies last year that they pulled out of nowhere and were like both for Rookie of the Year. Like, drafting matters. And we've talked about it time and time again where Justin has come in and said, how many teams have actually won a championship with going to chase free agents? It is most times
guys you draft.
Homegrown talent. So, again, I know, Justin, you love to roll your eyes sometimes, the picks and the draft, but that's how a team like Portland wins.
I understand, but also the reason why I bring it up all the time is because I look at a team like the Utah Jazz. How many picks did they have? How many picks did they have to be 6 and or what
the
8
Thunder,
and 16?
The Thunder had
now
a lot.
the Thunder's best case scenario because you get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and then you draft Chet Holmgren. And okay, we're early on in Chet Holmgren's technically rookie year, right? Because last year he didn't play, so technically this is like the didn't Blake Griffin do this? Like, didn't play his first year, so technically was eligible in his second year.
Embiid did this because he had the broken foot right away.
So technically, Chet Holmgren's still a rookie. He's eligible.
Ben Simmons did this.
He's eligible for Rookie of the Year. Even though Wemby went for 30-some last night, almost brought him back against the Lakers. I did watch a smidge of that game.
Pop didn't want him to win.
He did not. But like, are we past like? Are we cashing in the Chet Holmgren receipts quite yet? Because a year and a half ago, remember when he got drafted number 2 overall? And there was a lot like, this is never going to work. He's going to get hurt. He's a string bean, right? That's what we used to call skinny people back in the day. I don't know if still people get called string bean. I don't know. I was a chubby kid, so I was like, what's the problem? You called string bean. That's awesome. You're not chubby. Anywho, getting beyond my childhood traumas. But are we cashing in the receipts on Chet Holmgren? Right? Has Chet been vindicated? He's dropping in 17 a night.
He's looked really good. He's obviously got all of it. Now, when the playoffs come to
playing 30 minutes a night, dropping in 17, about 8 rebounds a game.
The problem I have, Justin, is I had to look it up. Still listed at 195. I'm sorry.
But this is the new NBA.
I agree. But we'll see what happens. But very much like how, and this is what I think is going to be a problem for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Very much how for the last few years, opponents have been like, oh, we're playing in the playoffs a team who has Rudy Gobert. That's fine. We'll just put a versatile dude who could shoot threes at the 5, and then Rudy Gobert won't be on the floor anymore. So, not say that that's not Chet, but it's like, say they're playing the Nuggets.
Yeah.
You going to put Chet on Jokic?
But you could say that for so many teams about playing the Nuggets.
Okay.
There's a lot of teams who go.
Like, even for lack of better terms, like, DeAndre Ayton has probably 100 pounds on Chet.
I know.
I mean, I'm not saying he definitely has value, but he and Wembanyama are interesting in the sense that their body types are kind of the same of being them long and kind of lengthy guys who may not need to fill out, or their body, you wouldn't want Chet or Wemby to get fat, right?
No,
because then you could be
fat.
Like Zion and, well, sorry, Zion.
Was
that mean?
Boy, talk about a ricochet.
Was that mean-spirited?
I don't know if it's mean-spirited because it's kind of accurate, but it's just maybe an unnecessary ricochet that he didn't need.
So it's not mean if it's the truth, is what you're saying?
Well, no, it's still mean if it's the truth, right? It can still be mean if it is the truth. It kind of depends on where it comes from.
But you get what I'm saying.
All that being said, Blazers playing the Jazz tonight. That was a nice little diatribe we went on. We got to talk about Draymond because Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely. So Brendan and I yesterday talked about what the potential suspension has been, because if you look at Adam Silver over the last couple of years, he has not brought down Thor's hammer. You know what I mean? He had
the one Marvel movie you've seen. I love it.
Well, I don't even know if... No, I've never even seen Thor. I just know...
Should have just lied and went with it.
Nah. We'll not lie to this audience, Brendan. I will not.
I love it.
But I know growing up, Thor was a thing. You know, there was things before the Marvel movies, right?
I know. That's just too funny. That's too funny. Anyway,
we all knew about Thor's... But anyways, yes. Is that Helmsworth? Chris Helmsworth?
Yes. Yeah, that's great, man.
Helmsworths are some handsome SOBs, aren't they?
They're good-looking dudes.
They're Australian.
Man.
That's not fair. If you are that good-looking, you should not be able to have an accent. I'm just going to throw it out. In America, we didn't make that rule. Anywho, back to Draymond Green. I feel like I'm going to be very distracted today. We might
just stop. I'm not going to be the blame anymore.
I'm going to be on some runs here. Don't worry about it. But like I said, if you're new to the show, it's a little weird, but you'll get the hang of it. So Adam Silver has not brought down the hammer on anybody except for what? Ja? Like Ja got 25 games. Who else? But that was off the court. I'm talking about. Has he brought down the hammer for someone on the court?
Okay, not on
Adam
the court.
Silver.
Not I was
off the court. Yeah,
Miles Bridges.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, but he's back playing. Dude's back.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
we don't even dive. That's unbelievable that he's actually getting paid money to play basketball. But he hasn't. There have been multiple scuffles where it's 2 games, and I'm like, that's a 5-gamer. That's a 10-gamer because I grew up in David Stern's NBA. And David Stern, he did not put up with your nonsense. What palaver. That's what he used to say. He would not put up with your nonsense. And because there was a time, and David Stern realized this, and they kind of mocked it in that movie Semi-Pro, but it was a real thing that basketball in the 80s and then into the early 90s, kind of culminating with the Bad Boy Pistons, it was like, yeah, you know all these people that keep paying money and all these people that are watching on, you know who they want to watch? Michael Jordan dunk the ball. You know what they don't want to watch? Bill Laimbeer slam him to the floor. Stop it. And so, the suspensions would come and the fight, because when the fighting went away, guess what? It's a more aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball. And David Stern, over the years, essentially kind of had a non-tolerance policy when it came to fighting. We're not going to fight in this league. And there were big-time suspensions. You go back to Alonzo Mourning against Larry Johnson, I believe that was the fight. There was the Nate Robinson fight with Carmelo Anthony. Remember when Carmelo threw the punch and then backpedaled for an entire length of the floor? And there was big-time suspensions. And then, of course, it culminated with the Malice of the Palace, right? Ron Artest then, now Meta World Peace, he got the entire season. Steven Jackson got, I think, 30 games.
Not the Beaver, the NBA player.
Yeah, NBA player Steven Jackson has a podcast now. But because David Stern realized, this is terrible for the league in terms of getting average Joe American, he does not want to watch. We do not want to watch. We'll watch hockey guys fight, which there may be something there. But nobody wants to watch guys in the NBA fight each other. They want to watch Michael Jordan dunk the ball. They want to watch Kobe Bryant dunk the ball. They don't want to watch these guys fight. But since then, Adam Silver being a players commissioner, he hasn't really brought down the hammer. So Draymond has been kind of the biggest problem child in the NBA in terms of on-the-court repeated violations of technical fouls, suspensions, and, he knocked out Jordan Poole in practice. He did the stomp on Arvydas, or not Arvydas. Love you, Arvydas. Domantas Sabonis. You did the stomp on Domantas Sabonis, and then now you've got this, swinging for. So now Draymond gets an indefinite suspension. Brennan, you estimated it's going to be about 5 games. You thought the suspension was going to come down. I was surprised that it was the indefinite. Now, for those that may be a bit confused, I understand because it is. Indefinite sounds like forever, right? Because I think we associate it with infinity, right? It's infinite. It's forever. Indefinite means there is no timetable. This could be 2 games. Probably not going to be. It could be 2 games. It could be 25. It could be anywhere in the mix. I'm thinking right around a nice, cool, round number like 10. But it is very interesting to see the amount of armchair psychologists that are going on, both on the X app and on TV all day yesterday, trying to diagnose Draymond Green. It's like, this is nothing new, right? This goes back to the finals when he kicked LeBron in the junk. Remember when he kicked LeBron in the junk, got himself suspended? They were up, was it 3-1? On the brink of winning a fifth. I mean, that would have been their fifth, but I think at the time it would have been just their second. But that's how far back this goes. This is nothing new with Draymond Green. And it is just interesting that now we get the pearl clutching. Like, we weren't at all concerned when he knocked out Jordan Poole. And by the way, Steve Kerr, like, Draymond's got to be responsible for his own actions. But the organization and Steve Kerr, like, I'm sure somewhere in their facility there's a mirror, you know what I mean, that maybe you should be looking into. And I like Steve Kerr, and I think he's a tremendous head coach. The way he coached, his style of coaching, changed the NBA. Allowing Steph and the Warriors to shoot threes at will, right? That changed the NBA. Now, that being said, it's still the organization that watched Draymond Green knock out a teammate. Video gets released. The entire world sees Draymond Green knock out a teammate, says, you know what, just don't come to practice for a couple of days. Do I still get to go to my ring ceremony? Yeah, you do. Don't worry about it. And then you wonder why these things happen. You know what I mean? Like, you wonder why these things happen. Now, I get it. The Warriors are probably like, and Steph Curry has said this a couple of times. Like, yeah, there's some things about Draymond that gets frustrating, but it's also because of that he is who he is. We've won 4 championships, which I wholeheartedly believe. Right? But the Warriors have been kind of setting this whole thing. And the entire time, you know, who was it? Wasn't it Steve Kerr was talking about there's a code in the NBA? There's like, I can't remember, was it, I forget who, there was like a scuffle, and it was like somebody got grabbed, and it was like, yeah, there's a code amongst players. And like, Draymond Green does a spinning back fist to Nurkic, knocks him out. Yeah, crickets from Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr's got more to say about the music volume in Phoenix than his guy's spinning back fist. Yeah, it's the same guy that knocked out his own teammate, and you guys let him play. You guys let him play. You let him collect his ring. You let him. You're wondering why we're still dealing with this? So, indefinite suspension. If I had to guess, right, there's what? There's the counseling, which I don't, may or may not help. I hope it works. Meta World Peace talks about all the time, like the counseling he went through that helped. Remember at the halftime of the game, Lakers-Celtics, Game 7? And like Meta World Peace, like, said, like, yeah, I called my therapist at halftime who got me to calm down a little bit. Hopefully it works. But does anybody, like, I think Stephen A. Smith said it yesterday, which he made a very good point. It's like, the fact that Nurkic came out and was like, I don't know what's wrong with that dude. I'm paraphrasing Nurkic, by the way. Like, I don't know what's wrong with that. I'm just glad he didn't choke me. And nobody, like, it was kind of a joke, but nobody was really laughing because we're like, yeah, kind of glad he didn't choke you. I'm guessing 10 games. Brendan, if I put it, the over-under at 9.5, what are you betting ultimately? Games Draymond Green misses. I put the over-under at 9.5. I'm guessing 10.
I'll go under.
You think under 10
I think
games?
it'll be like 6.
He'll do some counseling and say, I'm better now, apologize to his
Well,
teammates.
hey, I mean, Justin, even before the second incident, even Ja Morant went down to Florida and didn't learn anything for a week. So, I mean, it's entirely possible to go and have the...
It was a lighter. That's what he said.
Say that again?
Ja Morant. He said the second video with the gun, he said it was a lighter.
Well, you know.
You still don't have, like, if you have
I'll give him...
a video of you with a gun already, maybe don't have that gun that's a lighter, maybe we go to a Bic.
I'll give
you know
him...
what I mean?
I'll
maybe
give,
a Zippo.
Yeah. I'll give him credit because, you know, in a situation like his, basically the only way that he was going to ever resurface himself was going to be to go underground, and he pretty much has these last 3-4 months.
So but for let's get back to Draymond real quick.
I think like 8. It's between 6 and 8.
6 and 8.
But I'll say under. I will just
I'm gonna
to be contrarian.
Just for spiciness,
Yeah.
I like it. Look at you contributing to the show. Appreciate it on a Thursday. Even coming off of your How hardcore did trivia night get last night?
Oh, it was pretty fun. It was more fun. We didn't have any prizes or anything. Just all split into teams and had a mess of good food and still stuff from last night. It was a good night.
We may dive into that a little bit later on. But coming up next, hey, the price of a quarterback on the transfer portal market continues to go up, up, and up. And there's now news. Kyle McCord left Ohio State. Looked like he was locked into Nebraska. Did the price change? Did the market change? Is there a shift going on? Because he doesn't at least sound like he's going to Nebraska anymore. And the quarterback carousel continues. Talk some college football as we go on campus next. 620 Rip City Radio. in college football that are entering the transfer portal. We are becoming obsessed, and I understand why we've always been obsessed with the quarterback position because the QB carousel is the newest form of NIL transfer portal movement. Because you see teams like Oregon, you can see teams like even Washington, for the most part, who are like, yeah, we're built. We got the offensive line, we got the defensive line, defensive backfield's pretty good. We got a slew of running backs. We just need a signal caller. We just need a QB. We don't got time for this sophomore to develop because it is a win now situation in our world. We need to go out and we need to get a guy. And these quarterbacks understand this now. They realize that their value is never been higher because of the opportunities of what NIL brings. And now we're seeing more and more guys enter to the point now where Texas's backup quarterback, not Arch Manning, but their backup quarterback, who has a chance, even as a backup quarterback and might not play, to win a national championship, is now in the transfer portal. And there's some pearl clutching going on, which to that I say, welcome to big boy football. I hope this is what you wanted. Every omelet's got broken eggs, and we're now seeing it going on right now. Plus, Cam Ward may have some other options that is not Ohio State. Let's go on campus. Here we go. All right, so the timetable is a bit unfortunate, but this is what we have created. So from what I understand, because a lot of people are like, why is the transfer portal going on right now in December? Why wouldn't you just wait till the bowl games are playing and then open up the transfer portal? That way you would have less opt-outs. You would have guys becoming available. Like DJ, you could be playing in the Sun Bowl for Oregon State. Well, it's like, yeah, because we still make these guys go to school. That's why. If you're going to transfer, you can't transfer 3 weeks. Now, you probably could, but the deal that was made is you have to open up the transfer window in December when the semester or quarter system or whatever you're on is wrapping up, so that by the new semester or the new quarter, you can then be on campus, be enrolled. So a lot of these guys aren't going to be playing bowl games. Now, that doesn't really matter all that much, as we have talked about the value of non-playoff bowl games. Which is why you see guys like Kyle McCord, who is not going to be playing in the bowl game for Ohio State. He's out testing the market. More on him in just a moment. But there is an unfortunate part of this, which is the case of Texas. Because Texas is going to be playing in the college football playoff semifinal against Washington. And Malik Murphy, who is the backup quarterback for Texas, he played a little bit when Quinn Ewers got hurt because Arch Manning wasn't ready. But he's in a spot now where he went to Texas. He enrolled at Texas. Arch Manning almost went to Alabama. Arch Manning, I think, almost went to USC. But ultimately, Arch Manning chose Texas. So when Quinn Ewers is going to be done, guess what? Old Cooper Manning's kid, Peyton and Eli's nephew, he's going to move to the top of the depth chart. Because he's one of the biggest recruits we have seen in college football. So that essentially leaves Malik Murphy without a spot. It's like, yeah, I'm never going to play quarterback ever at this place unless somebody gets hurt. So he's got to transfer. But because of the portal being where it is, he can't transfer after the I'm sure if Texas wins, they'll probably give him a ring, but he's not going to be there to celebrate with his teammates. He's not going to be there to take in all the experiences of the college football playoff. And to that I say, this is what you wanted, right? This is what you guys wanted. And now it seems like there is a new market for Kyle McCord, because it looked as though the former Ohio State quarterback was heading to Nebraska. Well, that's not going to happen, as apparently I don't know if there is a new deal. I don't know if the deal fell through. Or because Nebraska, I think, just flipped a huge 5-star commitment to come play for them as well. But it seems as though Kyle McCord has now said, offer still stands. And then Washington State fans are going to have to deal with the loss of Cam Ward. And it turns out he looked like he was heading to Ohio State. Now, the latest on Cam Ward is that he is now down to Florida State and Miami. What a world. What a world we're living in. But, it's like we talked about with Tyson Alger yesterday. If I'm Oregon, if I'm Washington, heck, if I'm USC, I don't know if I ever recruit a high school kid ever again. Because when was the last time we have seen a freshman come in, redshirt or otherwise, where you're like, well, that guy's the best player in football? What, Caleb Williams 3 years ago? Maybe. But you look at these fifth-year super seniors, there's not an 18-year-old kid that's going to be able to come on campus and compete with Dylan Gabriel, who's got like 50 starts under his belt. Yes, Brendan.
Back to Cam Ward, Justin.
Yeah.
Did you see him and Mario Cristobal and who Mario Cristobal brought to dinner for Cam Ward?
I did not.
They went to dinner with Rick Ross. I imagine that is pretty impactful for a young kid.
Is it, though? Like, I know
cool
who Rick Ross is. Is Rick Ross still relevant to the kids?
Yeah.
He's still out there?
Still has some clout, as they say. But yeah, like, no big deal. Just shrimp cocktails, Rick Ross, Mario Cristobal, like a nice dinner in Miami. But no, like, he's going to get, like, he has so, like.
Rick Ross is probably funding the deal.
Probably not wrong.
That one's surprising a little bit. That the kid's still into Rick. Like, I know who that is.
Like I can ask my brother. He'd go, "Oh yeah, Rick Ross," and he's 18. So I think he's got some staying power, Justin.
Potentially, but you can bring in all the celebrities you want. Deion Sanders is going to find out about this. Until you bring the bag, like I hope The Rock brought like $1.5 million with him, because it's cool to like meet The Rock and Lil Wayne, but tell those guys are signing the checks. I don't know what it really means. Coming up, hour number 2, we've got Make or Miss. We've got a Thirsty Thursday. We've got a Big 3. Game ball kerfuffle going on in Milwaukee. We'll talk about that as well next. 620 Rip City Radio.
And here's what you need to know.
From the Goldberg Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
It is 7 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Justin Myers with you. Blazers back in action tonight. They'll be taking on the Utah Jazz at the Moda Center. 7 o'clock tip time. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely by the NBA. League says certain conditions for the NBA and the Warriors must be met before he returns to action. Chargers will be taking on the Raiders in what we're going to call football. Don't know how great it's going to be, but hey, it will be on tonight. Prime Video, a.k.a. Amazon Prime, will have the matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers tonight. And speaking of football, Dan Pizzuta, who covers the NFL, is going to be joining us in hour number 3 as we get a look ahead as the regular season is winding down. Playoffs, interesting matchups, and a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks coming up in the draft. But the Big 3 in hour number 2 starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio.
All right, welcome back. It is Rip City Mornings. I am your host, Justin Myers. Coming up in 20 minutes, super producer Brendan will have Make or Miss. Fantastic Make or Miss yesterday, by the way. I thought we dove deep into some of the issues surrounding Rudy Rudiger. And, I mean, this is what the people have been wanting, right, is a complete breakdown of, like, what on earth is going on with Rudy Rudiger.
I will never get over the fact that, Rudy traded picking up on chicks for grades. Mm-hmm. So
in today's world, that's problematic.
it is.
Problematic.
It is.
But we did that yesterday. You can check it out on YouTube. The archives are there on YouTube.com. You can watch us live on YouTube right now. Just go to the Rip City Radio YouTube page. Subscribe to it, by the way. Come hang out. And you can see how the show works. So we've got Make or Miss coming up in 20 minutes. We have also got a Thirsty Thursday. And obviously it is the holiday season. How's your holiday shopping? I'm
nearly done.
I am completely done.
The
completely done.
Yeah, and the best part is I didn't have to leave the Bezos app, so I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I did now here's the thing. Let me tell you this. There are so many benefits to me being married to my lovely wife. Multiple benefits. But can I tell you the greatest benefit around this time of year is that other than buying her gifts and maybe giving a smidge of input here and there, all the family gifts are, she's got them. She's got them taken care of. Is the best. So my responsibility for Christmas gift buying is to one. And so I have, all the gifts are done. I do have stocking stuffers to buy, though, because that was thrown on me this year. Some years, like if we go to either one of our parents' houses, like obviously stocking stuffers are provided. Don't want to say by whom, because I don't know, there might be children listening, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I got some stocking stuffers to buy. But other than that, my Christmas shopping is so you did not step foot in a store for Christmas. Neither did I.
And don't plan to, hopefully.
I wonder if I'm ever going to do that ever
Knock
again.
on wood. That's why I said. That's why Jeff Bezos is sitting on a yacht in Tahiti right now, because he gets the entire country to purchase everything for Christmas on Amazon.
You know, there's a Twitter feed where it's a thing called like used to be Pizza Huts. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I have.
Because obviously back in the 70s and the 80s, like Pizza Hut was the jam. Let me tell you. Did you ever eat at a Pizza Hut?
Oh yeah. And have
like with the chandelier above?
Yep.
Man.
There's none around here, but when the summer that I worked up in Washington, they had a sit-down Pizza Hut up there. It had a little newer, but still had the chandelier, but the whole salad bar, the lunch buffet,
Did it have the hut though?
Yes.
The actual roof was a
red.
hut.
Yes.
Yeah, and those things were everywhere. And man, let me tell you. Now, I'm an Abby's Pizza guy, and I will ride or die for Abby's Pizza because it was kind of what we had. But like a special treat was going to the Pizza Hut. And you would get that scorching hot pan pizza that would come out with in the pan. The pan was roughly 700 degrees. And they would always say, be careful, don't touch it, which again tells 7-year-old me, let's find out exactly how hot that is. Do you still do that? Have you ever done that? Somebody comes out. Let's say you order fajitas. Now, I don't know.
I was going to say Mexican.
Yeah, you order fajitas and or any Mexican food somehow, some way. Like I don't know how they get the plates so scorching hot. I mean, I'm sure they put them in the oven and whatever. But like, be careful, hot plate, right? You always get that at the Mexican food place or on like the pan pizza. Or the other day ordered an app at the bar. Got the spinach jalapeno dip. And it came in a cast iron skillet, and it was like, be careful, very hot. Brendan, I'm 44 years of age. All right? I've seen some things in my life, and I've lived, and I've learned, and I've grown up, and I've matured. Something in my brain still, when somebody sets down a skillet or a pan or says, be careful, hot plate, I just want to touch it. I want to know, well, how hot are we talking here? Because we're going to find out, and what is that? Is that a me thing or is that like a human thing?
That's a human thing because it's like, you put a human in a room with a button that says do not push, and you could like...
Yeah,
and they would do it. After enough time, they would. They'd go, well, I'm bored. I want to do it. So...
Well, growing up, it was always who's going to pull the fire alarm, right?
I never did.
I have never pulled the fire alarm ever.
Because we were all scared because at Sherwood they told us that our fire alarms, like this is how they scared us off, maybe it was true or not. When you pulled it, it sprayed your hand with the blue ink. Yep.
Pretty sure that doesn't exist.
Oh, well.
But we all believed it.
Yep, we sure did. And I was like, nope. So there were I remember being dared in like middle school? 100%.
I
And I'd
dare
be
you.
like, no, I don't want the ink on my hand. And, I guess in hindsight, like, would it have really detrimentally affected my future if I pulled that fire alarm? Probably not, but nothing I wanted to do anyway.
What was some, like
Like, what happened to those kids? You just get like a call home, or
Yeah, you get like suspended.
okay,
Like
how, like, other than the fire department coming out, which that's expensive. Who wears the cost? Is it the school or is it the taxpayers?
it's a taxpayer burden, probably.
There you go.
But
Go figure.
yeah, we had like that was the same rumor, and then like somebody did pull a fire alarm and they didn't get their hand blue, and we're like, all right, so that's a lie.
Although we did go to school at different times, are we sure it wasn't locked
Maybe it's
in?
a new thing. I don't
Locked
know.
in by the time I was in school.
At Justin Myers 541 at B_slot, or if you're in the chat, I guess we could just Google it too. Is the paint thing on the hand real? Because I can't
No.
imagine like an actual good Samaritan.
Yep.
Like, hey, fire is happening. Pull the fire alarm, and then they're like, "What's with all this blue ink?" And it's like, I just saved 150 children.
Yep, the Google crushes it, Justin. Fire alarms do not and never did spray ink. This myth originated to deter childhood pranksters from pulling the fire alarm in their schools to impress friends.
We got that one. So, like,
And that I remember.
that's a tale as old as time, though.
Oh,
Like,
it
that
is.
goes back pretty far to where it's like, yeah, they're gonna know if you pull it, and then like, I do know a couple of kids. I'm not gonna out them. Most of the times I'll name drop some kids I grew up with things we did because but like I'm not gonna out them. But I do know a couple of kids that pulled the fire alarm.
Also,
and it's
you guys
like,
didn't have because it was brand new when I was going to school. That I remember it was a big deal, Justin, when they go, "Oh yeah, Sherwood Middle School finally put cameras, in."
Oh yeah, we had no camera.
Yep. See, so that's like I remember that being a huge deal when it's like one day there were no cameras. That it's everything's on camera. So then you really saw who pulled the fire alarms.
Yeah.
So that
But yeah, I know, definitely knew some kids that pulled the fire alarm. That was the urban myth that it was going to spray your hand. The other one, it's the chlorine in the pool that they say is going to change color if you pee in the pool. I was like, yeah, that didn't exist.
or the
That was a fun, like it scared us all. Like, that doesn't exist.
I remember that one, and then I remember the whole if you didn't I guess it was like to encourage you to take a shower after you got out of the pool.
Yeah.
Because they said that chlorine would bleach your hair. Like, I remember that being like, oh, yeah, you go to a pool with chlorine. If you don't wash your hair, it's going to start turning colors. And you're like, wait, what? And maybe it still would, but who knows?
Yeah, I still very much remember hey, there is a chlorine in that pool. And if which everybody did.
Unfortunately, I think that's a story and a song as old as time and rhyme.
Sorry, we like everybody's done it. Like, let's just be 100% honest. Like, we go in the pool, like especially so.
That's why I prefer lakes or oceans to public pools, Justin. Much bigger body of water.
I don't know, but I would rather have the chlorine than sitting in
Human bodies aren't meant to have chlorine, Justin. Human bodies are meant to have what the beautiful earth
But
provides.
I'm just saying,
to.
if somebody is
right.
going to relieve themselves
you'd rather
in a
have
pool,
that. Yeah.
I would much rather give me the chemicals and
Yeah.
just
But you know what I mean? Like
clean that stuff out.
But like just like a bigger body of water, like for instance, somebody could, do that in like a giant lake and it would not even register compared to a pool that, is a square and a rectangle and all those things.
A couple years ago when I went to South Carolina, went to Charleston, and we went
How was it?
It was awesome.
Yeah, sounds beautiful.
Went to the beach, sitting on the beach, and your boy is taking down
some margaritas.
No. This was on the beach, so you to bring your own.
Oh, got you.
And
got you.
And it was like one of those. I don't think it's allowed on the beach, and the cops were patrolling, but it was essentially like, look, don't be obvious, right? Pour it in a cup. Sit there with a cup. I'm not going to ask you what's in your cup, as long as you don't have Then there was one tent next to us, or that had 4 cases of beer, and the cop was like,
"Come on,
you just put that away, man. Put it in a cooler and keep it in a cup." But it was yeah, you sit on the beach, enjoy it, and then all says I'm going to go get in the ocean, if you know what I'm saying. And then you would come back. But
a big ocean, lots of room for it to spread out. So
you were just at a resort in Mexico. I'm going to a resort in Mexico coming up in the spring. And that's the one where you're like, all right, swim up bar. You've been at this swim up bar for about 2 hours and you haven't gotten out of the pool yet.
That's fair.
We all know what's going on. We know. We all know what's going
that's fair.
on.
I will not deny that. That's probably true. Yeah, there were a lot of.
Swim up bar sounds like an awesome thing till you're sitting next to some guy and you're like, you have not left that bar stool for about 90 minutes. And I've seen you drink at least 15 Coronas.
And,
There's no way.
Right, and Cabo's one of those. I know you said you're going somewhere else, but Cabo's one of those places where you can't really get in the ocean, so you spend more time at the pool.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's like, you're going to get out of the pool and. Or like Vegas, like I was at the lazy river at the MGM Grand.
I love that lazy river, except when kids are in it flipping me over. That has happened to me before.
I went to it was 21 and over. I think. Maybe not.
So this was, let's see, this is when I graduated college, so 2018 now.
Maybe not. Maybe there just weren't kids there when I was there.
But yeah, no, that was like, hey, dad and stepmom graduation present, going to Vegas for being done with college. I have my relatively new first generation AirPods in my ear, Justin, and
don't wear those in the pool.
And I'm in a pool, and I'm in the tube, laying back and enjoying myself, and all of a sudden, feel some current under me, and some kids just kind of were coming through and flipped the tube.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, Justin. Do you think I was happy at that moment?
I bet you handled it very calmly and cool, and just sure that's exactly how that went. All right,
I'm here, so it couldn't have been too bad, right?
Let's get to the big three.
Andy Bernard said in the office, though, Justin, they sent me to management training, anger management,
Right.
but who cares?
It's an overreaction.
I mean, Draymond is probably going to be like, yep, I'm only here so I don't get fined and I can play. I mean, is this going to change the cat that Draymond is?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. He is.
But like I said, there is evidence, right? Ron Artest, a.k.a. Meta World Peace, remember when he knocked out James Harden? And I was like, yeah, you got to go to counseling, dude. You did the Malice at the Palace. You knocked out James. You got to go to counseling, dude. And he, kind of helped. Coming up in an hour from now, we're going to talk some NFL football with Dan Pizzuta. Maybe he has got something to look forward to tonight. I mean, I guess, like we've talked about multiple times, it's football on a Thursday night. You got to watch something before the Blazers tip off against the Jazz. But it's going to be bad. It really is. Because I couldn't tell you one good thing about the potential matchup tonight with the Chargers and the Raiders. So we're going to talk to Dan Pizzuta. But there's a lot of stuff going on, though, in the NFL when you look ahead to these next 4 weeks of games. And wild card's going to get nuts. When you think about, like, how many teams right now, if you look at, I think it was the AFC playoffs, there are Bills, Bengals, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Steelers, all at 7-6. Like, they are all those 6 teams currently right now are going to be battling it out because there's 2 spots. And you have got Chiefs, Jags, Browns all at 8-5. So, and the Browns are playing with Joe Flacco. I mean, he looked good last week, but, like, I don't know, is that a long-term solution? Could you imagine, Brendan, if Joe Flacco, like, I don't think he can win the Super Bowl, but what if the Cleveland Browns make, like, the AFC Championship game with Joe Flacco? Their defense is good enough to do it. Like, their defense is really good. And all of a sudden, you bring in old savvy vet Joe Flacco, who's
He's done it before.
Yeah. How nuts is that?
But it's also been, 2 weeks? And
I know.
Josh Dobbs looked really good for 2 weeks until the NFL figured him out. The NFL's too good, Justin.
It's so good.
That's why people who are bums, and I'm sorry, at this point in his career, Joe Flacco is kind of that.
He's not really a bum. He's old. He's like, let's say, past his prime.
Yeah, I mean, he's 38, Justin. That's pretty old.
It's not that old.
Yeah, that's
some of us are still in our prime.
For an
some
NFL
of us are in our peak physical condition, well above 38. All right, let's just.
I that would surprise me. I still think quarterbacks are king, and I think ultimately.
Isn't it kind of insane? Sorry to cut you off. I apologize, but isn't it kind of insane that a guy like Joe Flacco, he was on the couch, and that, like, we hear about all the time about the hours of preparation and, like, from mandatory mini camps to OTAs to training camp to, in the week, hours and hours of film study. And it's like Joe Flacco came off the couch and won 2 NFL football games. I mean, that's kind of nuts, right? I don't know. It just makes you wonder, like, I know all that film study is incredibly important and every minute detail and all that stuff, but it's like also in the same league where they put such, like, workouts in July are massively valued. In that same league, a dude can come off the couch, get in the huddle and be like, all right, guys, get open. I'll find you. I'm sure it wasn't that, but it kind of seems like it, right? Whew.
The Jets probably feel like morons for not calling him.
Yeah, you think so?
You think about what they have to continue to suffer through. Yeah, probably.
Jets 5-8, not mathematically eliminated. Only mathematically eliminated teams, New England Patriots. You buying this reports out of New England that Belichick's already done? Reports that it was after the game in Germany that Robert Kraft was like, we're done.
I think it's probably going to be. The crazy thing is, like, I don't think it's happened since Doc Rivers in the NBA. We're going to see a coach get traded this year. I mean, it's kind of crazy and nuts, but we're going to see a coach's rights get traded because Bill Belichick.
Didn't John Gruden get traded? He got traded from, like, the Raiders to the Bucks, right?
Good
the
call.
Last guy I can think of.
Good call. I think that is probably the last time it happened in the NFL.
Well, and Sean Payton, I think the Broncos had to compensate the Saints.
Yes, good call. So that,
but he was on TV.
Active. He didn't leave New Orleans to go like. So like I said, Bill Belichick strikes me, Justin, as a legacy guy. And let me look just to see. I know he's only got 3. Let's see. only has 3 this season, but I'm curious again how many he is.
How many wins away he is?
From Don Shula. I think it's like 20. Let's see. So Don Shula's got 328. Bill Belichick has 301. So he needs a couple years of Justin Herbie Sherby, and he'll get it going away.
Let me ask you this.
Traded to the Los Angeles Chargers.
And then we're definitely going to get a make or miss. I'm trying to think of like a team that has a quarterback, but is not quite feeling their head coach. Obviously, the Chargers are that team. I think the Bills, even though I don't know, they rallied around their.
It won't be in the division.
I know they won't. I know.
Yeah, he
but
won't.
for the sake of, you're right.
Sure.
But for the sake of
the argument. Yeah.
What would you give up for Bill Belichick to be a head coach? You got to compensate a team.
Third round pick. They'd probably love it.
But if you were the Chargers, right? What if the Patriots come and like, hey, Chargers, you've got a Pro Bowl caliber, all NFL caliber quarterback. You want Belichick? First round. If you're the Chargers, first rounder to get 3 years with Belichick and Herbert together. Would you give up a first rounder?
I would. You have to shoot your shot. I mean,
I think so.
You're in just like because just in the last 2 years, you've seen the Rams say, "Hey, we burned down the farm and got the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
And it sucked for a couple years afterwards, but look, the Rams are back again. So that's how it so as the Chargers sit in their beautiful stadium and look at their multi-million-dollar quarterback who's 6'6", 250 pounds of just chiseled NFL quarterback, and then we go, well, let's pair him up with one of the greatest coaches of all time and see what happens. I mean, and oddly enough, like Justin, I know Bill Belichick's talked about a lot. What's not talked about? Andy Reid, who is only 40 wins behind Bill Belichick all time. Nobody talks about Andy Reid as one of the greatest coaches of all time. He has a lot less Super Bowls, but man, like
a lot of wins.
Those two dudes, just like for me, it'd be like if for whatever reason, and they never would, if the like how when the Eagles got rid of Andy Reid, the Chiefs were like, yeah, we'll have the plane ready to pick up Andy in Philadelphia when he is fired, and he will sign the contract immediately. Like same kind of thing. Like Andy Reid left Philadelphia, they didn't renew his contract, but Justin, I bet there were some folks who were like, yeah, Andy Reid, he's done in Philadelphia. He's going to go to the Chiefs. The Chiefs never win anything.
Kind of talk about a win-win there. Because the Eagles
they got Mahomes.
Eagles needed somebody else.
Yes.
Right? Andy Reid had his time, and they were good, but the Eagles needed somebody else. So they bring in Doug Peterson, win a Super Bowl.
And fire him too.
They fired him too, and then get to another Super Bowl, and they might go to the Super Bowl again this year. Who knows?
Eagles are lucky, man. But again,
but the Chiefs also needed Andy Reid as well, and then of course you get Patrick Mahomes. That helps as well.
But before that, even though Justin, like, did anybody think Alex Smith was? I guess I'll credit Harbaugh too, because Harbaugh really
number 1 overall pick.
Well, but he hadn't shown anything until Jim Harbaugh got there, right? Then Jim Harbaugh gets there. They have the Kaepernick little thing, and they're like, hey, we're going to go with that guy, but I'm not going to, that whole mess. But Andy Reid won with Alex Smith. Andy Reid won with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, this could be an Andy Reid situation if Bill Belichick goes.
I'm looking
it'd be so crazy to see the hoodie anywhere else but New England.
I know, but I'm looking at these teams, right? I'm looking at these teams. If I'm Belichick, I don't go anywhere where I don't have a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not...
And complete organizational control, because that's who he is. I mean...
The Chargers, if they move on from Brandon Staley, which I think they would if Belichick was available, that's it and that's all. Who else is on the list in terms of a team that has a quarterback but is maybe looking to make a change at head coach, who is not in the division? Because the Bills are the only team where I could see it, but they're not going to trade. They're not going to allow him to go to the division. Right? Who else would be in the mix? I don't see it. Like, they're not going to go to the Commanders.
That was the one.
I don't think he's going to go to the Cardinals. Just got their guy. They're not going to fire Gannon after a year.
The interesting ripple effect with this, Justin, is
the Panthers have an opening, but if I'm Bill Belichick, I don't want any part of Bryce Young.
Right.
Because you got to give Bryce Young another 2 years with the number 1 overall pick.
Interestingly enough, I have heard that if that happens, it's very almost all but likely that then the Patriots will hire Mike Vrabel and steal him from Tennessee, which would create another kind of ripple effect. But yeah, I mean,
do you do a coach swap? Patriots get Vrabel, Titans get Belichick. Belichick goes to Nashville with Will Levis.
Do you think that would? I don't think that would intrigue him.
I don't think so
Probably
either.
not.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's one and done. I think it's like the Chargers or
the
bust.
Chargers are it.
Yeah, I'm with
What
you.
or if you're Belichick, do you just say, listen, I've been doing this a long time. Give me 1 year where I could just, go live my life.
It could.
Get out on my boat.
Regardless, I think the odds.
He's got that big fancy boat.
It's true. Hey, go hang out with this cute little husky pup. If I were to say right now, Bill,
But he seems like a football lifer, though. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, was Bill Belichick going to know what to do when if he's not coaching football?
I'll say at this time right now, December 14th, 2023, he is not coaching the Patriots next season.
Oh, it sounds like that's already a done deal. Now, I don't know. That could change their mind, but they're eliminated from the playoffs. You're going to go draft a quarterback probably in the first 4 picks, wherever you're going to be. And so Belichick has already had Mac Jones. That didn't work. And you're going to go with
He tried Cam Newton.
Drake May or, I don't know.
Bo Nix.
Yeah. Penix.
Michael Penix.
It's like,
got lots of options.
I think those guys are going to be good NFL players, but if I'm Bill Belichick, it's like, do I want to wait another 4 years? I don't know. It seems crazy. All right. Let's dive into Make or Miss.
School was so associated with the school, and then now it's like a tree falls in the forest. Like it never happened. It never happened.
I watched the 30 for 30 on the 97 Heisman race, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like, let's go back to 1997 college football, which was my prime. And there was like footage like of Penn State, and there's Joe Paterno. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Kind of scrubbed that.
Yep.
Kind of like a certain sitcom we don't talk about anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly. It was very popular. Might have even been on in your household growing up, Justin. So I know it was for my
parents. We don't talk about that anymore.
I know it was for my parents.
Sorry, Rudy.
He may have even recorded a few Oregon State things at one point or another too, Justin. I don't know if you remember that eitber, but
I don't.
Yeah,
but...
I'll have to tell you about that at some point. But nevertheless,
let's get to at least one or two.
Yes, let's get to one make or miss. Cam Ward is not the best quarterback in the portal, despite him getting offers like he is.
It's kind of incredible. Maybe I'm missing the boat on this.
He's not that good. So
maybe
everyone else take him. Go ahead. Let me name you the quarterbacks in the Pac-12 I would rather have than Cam Ward this year.
Okay.
Bo Nix.
Yeah, buddy.
Michael Penix.
100%.
Caleb Williams.
Done and done. Would you rather have DJU or Cam Ward?
I don't know. I think maybe Cam Ward. He was tighter in completion percentage.
It's true.
I'd rather
and when they went head-to-head,
I'd rather have Noah Fafita at Arizona. I'd rather have...
Shedeur?
I would. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd rather have Shador. Healthy, I'd rather have Cam Rising, but since he's not, we'll go with Bryson Barnes.
How about Pig Farmer? Yeah.
You know, I'd go Cam Ward.
Cam Ward of Pig Farmer?
But is that...
Oregon kind of exposed that guy, didn't they?
They did. I'm not any better than... I'd take him over Cal's dude, take him over UCLA's dude, take him over Arizona State's dude. I think that's it. So it's like, I have him as like the 5th best quarterback. 4th best.
I'm with you. I understand where if you were like a quarterback away and didn't have options, you're like, yeah. But the fact that he is the belle of the ball, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it. And do you think some of that's because, let's be honest, we watch Cougar football out here, and early on in the season he was good, but like,
I think
he had some clunker games. Just absolutely.
Yeah.
What did he do against Oregon? Do you got?
Yeah, I'll
pull up Cam Ward right now. What did he do against Oregon? Because I don't like.
Is there a part
I was
of this?
at that game. I don't remember much. I think they got to him pretty good.
Is there a part of this, Justin, given that, like, and even Bo Nix is kind of, and no, I don't know if that holds water because Penix is from the East Coast. I was going to, like, Penix is from Tampa.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know, maybe because he grew up and played high school ball in Texas, Incarnate Ward is in Texas. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, again, like Justin, you say, Cam Ward went to Incarnate Word.
Yes.
But yes, his game log. Again, folks, he did no better than when he crushed Oregon State. I think all these scouts are just looking at tape of that game when he threw for 400 yards and 4 tutties and no picks.
Yeah, like against Arizona, he went
okay, yeah,
a $192 against Arizona. He went for a $197 against UCLA.
He did put up 440 on Oregon.
Man,
it's not bad.
Oh, that's.
The tutties aren't there, but 440s.
There was some excuse me touchdown. There's, I think, at the end of that
some
game.
Excuse me yards. Only one touchdown, but four bills, Justin. That'll get you.
But all in all, like, he threw for 3,700 yards, right? Which is nothing to sneeze at. Completion percentage sitting at about 66%, 25-7. It's like those are good numbers, but those aren't like, let's roll it out and offer him every bag that's available.
I mean, but for what it's worth, though, Justin, you said, would I take Cam Ward or DJU? I didn't realize it was this much. Cam Ward finished with 1,000 more passing yards than DJU.
Yeah, because that's the offense, though.
It's true.
The offense,
it's true.
Like, there's a lot of yards. Again, you go to that Oregon game. Oregon was up big in that game.
They were.
And, like, they're not going to run out the clock.
Well, can someone else also look at can those schools that are offering Cam Ward all that money look at their box scores and go, win, 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 8 straight losses, win, loss.
Yeah.
Just maybe some of that's on the quarterback. Just saying. So I buyer beware, Justin. I cannot wait for one of these days when one of these big name schools goes and tries to buy a quarterback, and then that quarterback just implodes.
Well,
Absolutely implodes.
Here's the other thing, and I think you saw a smidge of it with DJU and Corvallis, and we talked about it. I talked about it with Mike Parker. I talked about it with you a ton. Here's going to be the new thing with quarterbacks and the transfer portal. Caleb Williams had success because he came with Lincoln Riley and knew the offense inside and out. Bo Nix came with Kenny Dillingham, who was his offensive coordinator there at Auburn his freshman year, and he knew that offense inside and out. Michael Penix came with Kalen DeBoer, who was his offensive coordinator at Indiana, and he knew that offense inside and out. DJU came from Clemson and played a completely different offense. Learned a completely different offense. So, as much as I'm excited about Dylan Gabriel coming to Oregon, it's like this is not the same of that package deal of coming with the even Dylan Gabriel. Remember when he came from Central Florida to Oklahoma? Who's the guy that just got hired at Mississippi State? The Oklahoma offensive coordinator.
His name's on the top of my head.
Anyways, they came together, right? So Dylan Gabriel knew that offense inside and out when he went to Oklahoma and transferred in, and now
Jeff Lebby.
Boom, that guy. So now you've got guys that are going to be coming in and have to learn an entire new offense, and we're going to find out who the smart ones are, and we're going to find out who maybe struggle a little bit in learning a new offense. All right, there you go. There's Make or Miss. Coming up, we've got a Thirsty Thursday. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about my good friends at DeBella. That's right. I've been telling you about DeBella for a while because they're the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers, and it's the Christmas season, but it's also winter weather. It can be brutal around here. And this winter might even be colder than last year. You can save up to 30% on your energy bills with DeBella, right? Because they will take care of your roofing, windows, sidings, all those renovations. And if your roof is leaking or just aging, you get a free quote right now with DeBella. They can also help with your windows, siding, bath projects. The team is one of the best in Oregon. They have got, hear me out, 15,000 five-star reviews on Google for their excellent work. 15,000 five-star reviews. Now is the perfect time to connect with DeBella. There's an amazing financing opportunity. You get zero down, no payments until 2025 on approved credit. You heard that correctly. Zero down and no payments until 2025. We're still in 2023 right now. So visit debella.us for a free, no-obligation appointment. They'll make updating your home easy and simple. DeBella, they are the home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. 90s nostalgia, maybe movie quotes, talking about the Blazers, the Ducks, the Beavers, college football, the Seahawks. Anything in the Pacific Northwest. There's one thing we love on this particular program, and that is debating, discussing, having fun with the topic of food and drink. It is something near and dear to both mine and Brendan's heart. So each and every Thursday, we set aside just a couple of minutes to have a little bit of fun with a segment we like to call Thirsty Thursday. All right, here. I try not to be judgy. I really don't. Try not to be judgy. Try to give everything a shot. I'm not a picky eater. I am not a picky drinker. I will give anything a try. But every once in a while, something comes around and you just go like, what were they thinking? There's no way this is going to be good. If it was ever going to be good, they would have thought of this before. And this is maybe one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. That might be a bit of a hyperbole, but I saw this and I'm like, that is disgusting. Because
I always find these good ones when I search, don't I, Justin?
I don't know what's going on in the world. All right, let's dive right into it. There is a new alcoholic drink. It is a distilled product. It is around 42% alcohol. So yeah, like a good vodka or a whiskey, but this is not vodka, whiskey, or gin. This is its own spirit that is being produced by the fine folks at Doritos. Now, I love Doritos. All right? Do not get me wrong. I love Doritos. As a kid, there was nothing better with your deli sandwich than getting a bag of nacho cheese Doritos. I love them. I don't know if I'm ready for Doritos nacho cheese flavored booze. I think that, what are we doing here? We've officially run out of ideas. We've run out of ideas in the world. You would think the human brain and the universe, with the amount of people in there, was 7 billion people on the planet. There's a lot of brain power. There's going to be some new idea out there that's like, man, how has nobody thought of this before? We've officially run out of ideas because now they're making Doritos nacho cheese flavored booze.
I'd try it.
Cheese, and I love cheese, and I love nacho cheese. If cheese flavored drinks were a thing, don't you think we would have had them by now? I don't know. I feel like this is disgusting.
Out there. It's, we've covered a lot of crazy drink, concoctions and stuff that, like Dr. Pepper coming out with limited edition stuff.
Yeah.
The warm Dr. Pepper that we've talked about before. There are some odd things from time to time, Justin. This, I don't know.
This is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea, Brendan. It is. There's no way this is going to be good.
Could you intrigue me to have it be it says to be served in a margarita? Could you intrigue me to try that?
Listen, yeah. I love margaritas. All right, and the best part of margaritas is you get that citrusy lime with the nice salt. But I don't know if I've ever thought that, you know what I want with this nice citrusy, refreshing lime? Cheese.
Oh, man, it'd be fun to take shots of this.
Not. Could you imagine going, you and I, we've talked about this. I think mine is Jägermeister. Yours is Malibu rum, where it was we just had a bad night. Can't smell it. I don't even know if you can even eat coconut to this day.
Coconut's fine.
Without thinking of that crazy night where you decided to drink way too much Malibu rum and orange soda, and I don't know how you...
That was so bad.
It was Jägermeister, right? I can't. I smell it, and I just had too many.
Freshman year of college, man. That was the welcome to college moment. Justin.
Could you imagine having a bad night with the Doritos flavored booze, and just then all of a sudden you just can't eat Doritos ever again because it just reminds you of the night you went too hardcore with the Doritos flavored booze because your idiot friend kept buying shots over and over again. Because I shouldn't say everybody. There are people out there that actually drink responsibly, and you know what? Good for you. I have learned through some mistakes what not to do, and I encourage everyone to go out and have a good time and drink responsibly and don't drive home. All right? I encourage it. But I've had some bad nights. And I know that there's going to be somebody that has some bad nights with this nacho cheese flavored booze, and they're going to start taking shots, and they're going to take some more, and then they're going to take some more, and then they are going to boot, and then they're going to wake up the next day, and they're going to be like, what on earth were we thinking? This is a terrible idea. There's no good that can come from nacho cheese-flavored booze.
I don't think it can be any worse than the mezcal that I've tried before. So
Mezcal's good. Like, it's got that nice smoky flavor, and you put it in a mule.
It was amazing.
A mezcal mule? So good.
It was amazing to meet Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul.
Yeah.
Their mezcal sucks.
Yeah, I bought it for you for Christmas last year. So you
Yep.
probably still have most of that bottle, huh?
Probably about half, yeah. I got through about half before I'm like, yeah, this is more of a collector's item still. But,
All right, so don't buy that for you.
But,
Got it.
no, I mean, like I said, we gave it the old college try, Justin. It's just...
You gave it a shot.
Yeah.
It's if you don't like that smoky, like
Right.
I enjoy a nice bourbon every night. Pour bourbon over ice. I sit there. I watch Jeopardy. It's glorious. It's like, talk about like old man, right? I sit and I watch Jeopardy with a nice bourbon on the rocks. I am not a fan of Scotch because I don't like the smokiness, right? Like Scotch is really smoky, and it's probably the same thing with that mezcal. If you don't like that smoky flavor, you're not going to like that mezcal. But here's the thing: I love Doritos. There's no way I'm gonna like Doritos booze.
It was available because it says it's like $50 a bottle. I'm not buying a bottle, but if I could have it somewhere where I could try it, I would, and I would try it with a straight face.
The only thing I could see this would be good with, and now I don't like Bloody Marys. I've tried them. I want to like them.
It's a good idea.
Drinking in the morning on a brunch, it's the best, right? I love mimosas. I've tried to like Bloody Marys. I don't like them. But I could see where maybe it would be good in that sense. But you give me a margarita with this thing, send it back. Thank you, please. Go back. It's just a terrible idea. We've run out of ideas. Yeah. Estimated bottle price, $65.
65, my bad.
Yeah, no worries. $65 for U.S. nacho cheese flavored Doritos booze. All right. We've got hour number 3. Dan Pizzuta is going to join the show. We got the RCM mailbag. Basketball gate in Milwaukee. You got to talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio.
know.
From the Goldberg Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
It is 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Justin Myers with you. Portland Trailblazers back in action tonight. They'll be taking on the Utah Jazz at Moda Center. 7 o'clock tip time. Pregame coverage begins at 4:30 right here on 620 Rip City Radio. Jeremy Grant out, still in concussion protocol, and I believe DeAndre and Malcolm Brogdon still listed as questionable for tonight's game. Draymond Green, he's going to be out for a while as the NBA has suspended him indefinitely. League says certain conditions for the NBA and the Warriors must be met before he can return. Thursday night football on Prime Video has the Chargers and the Raiders with a pair of backup quarterbacks and an interim head coach and maybe a dead coach walking. But you know what? There's football on the internet tonight. So Thursday night football, Chargers, Raiders on Prime Video. Speaking of football, Dan Pizzuta, who covers the NFL, is going to be joining us in 20 minutes. We've got an RCM mailbag, and we try to resolve a conflict. Hour number 3 of RCM starts right now at 620 Rip City Radio.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio. The most transparent show in Portland is Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers. Here on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's hour number 3 of RCM. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. Happy Thursday, everybody. Whether you are listening via the old school radio, whether you are listening via the iHeart Radio app, or whether you are watching us on the internet on YouTube, however you are consuming our products. And by the way, to those of you who might be listening to us in about 5 hours from now, a little bit delayed, hey, thanks to you as well in the future. But if you listen to this program, you realize that, well, Brendan and I have some things we do not agree upon, namely foods we like. When it comes to TV, Yellowstone, The Office, Breaking Bad, we're kind of pretty simpatico when it comes to TV shows we like. And I will say The Office, which is one of the greatest American TV shows of all time, one of the best episodes of The Office ever, for my money, was conflict resolution. Somehow, some way, old Michael Scott gets a hold of the complaint file and just starts out in everybody's dirty laundry, and hilarity ensues. Does that include the special file that goes to corporate in New York? Yeah, it does. So our hero, Michael Scott, then goes around the entire office dealing with all the complaints, trying to then resolve, and obviously, of course, he makes a mess out of all of it, but we are going to try to do that here. We're going to try to get a win-win-win, right? Not a compromise, not a win-win, but a win-win-win. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you put the poster up. That's a compromise. How about we make the poster into a T-shirt? Therefore, you can look at the T-shirt and Oscar doesn't have to look at it. Win, win, win. So here is the conflict, because it happened last night in the NBA, and it involves our former beloved hero, Damian Lillard, who is now a Milwaukee Buck. So the Milwaukee Bucks put it on the Pacers last night. Pacers are a pretty good team. So are the Bucks. They may ultimately meet up in the postseason. Giannis goes off for 64 points. That is a Milwaukee Bucks franchise record. It's the most points Giannis has ever scored in a game. And Damian Lillard in the game also passes Kyle Korver for most three-pointers made in NBA history. He is now 5th all time. So it goes, and we know this because we looked it up, Steph, number 1, Ray Allen, number 2, James Harden sitting in the 3rd spot, Reggie Miller, number 4, and then Dame is now ahead of Kyle Korver. You could have given me 100 guesses. I don't know if I would have gotten to Kyle Korver for 5th all time yesterday, but regardless, he's now 6th all time. Dame's 5th all time. Now, here's the other thing that happened in this game, because it was a 16-point win for the Milwaukee Bucks. At the end of the game, the Pacers unload their bench. And one of the members now, Brennan, I'm going to butcher this name. Hopefully, let's see. Do we have a pronunciation? It's Oscar. I think it's Shibu. I believe the T is silent. Absolutely butchering this guy's name. This poor guy is just like, I didn't ask for any of this.
It's Shibwe.
Shibwe. Boom. Got close.
Shibwe. Yep.
So Oscar
I had
Shibwe
to
is
look it up
played.
to confirm myself, but I knew it wasn't as hard as it looks.
He's a rookie out of Kentucky. And at the end of the game, he makes a free throw. Just happened to be old Oscar's first NBA point. Now, there's going to be an asterisk next to this. This may or may not play into our conflict resolution as we're going to attempt to determine who's the rightful owner of the game ball. So, in said game, Dame passes Kyle Korver for 5th all-time. 3-pointers made. He made, and let's just presume they used one game ball. I don't know if there's multiple balls that were actually being played in the game or being used in the game, but let's just say there is but one. That ball, Dame made it. He's now 5th all-time. Giannis also used that game ball to score 64 points. And you know how many threes he made? None. 64 points for Giannis without making a three. Made like a gajillion free throws last night, which good for him. So he scored 64. Dame is now 5th all-time in 3-pointers made. Do you still have that list up there in terms of how many 3-pointers Damian Lillard has made? I put you on the spot. Should have prepped you for this. That one's on me. That's my bad. Because I want to throw these numbers out there.
Go ahead.
So Damian Lillard, all-time 3-pointers made is now at where?
2,451.
2,451 3-pointers. That one put him at 5th all-time. That was what made with that game ball.
It's okay, though, because 23, 50 belong to Portland, so that really shouldn't count.
Yeah. But that ball that went through was that extra one that put him at 5th all-time. Giannis scored 64 points with that same game ball. Oscar Shibwe, did I say that right? I think I got it. He scored 1 point. But that 1 point just happened to be his first official NBA point, which apparently, according to the Pacers and according to Rick Carlisle, it's a tradition with the Indiana Pacers, and I don't know if it's a tradition with every other team in the league. I would imagine it is. When you get your first NBA point, you get the game ball. You may not have a career in this league, but if you score a bucket in the NBA, that is a payoff of probably a lifetime of dedication and a lifetime of hard work just to get to that particular point. You should maybe have a memento of the occasion. Well, the problem was you had Dame going 5th all time. You had Giannis scoring 64 points, which is a franchise record for the Milwaukee Bucks. And you have got Shibwe, who scored his first point. Who gets the ball? Let us conflict resolve. Because the Indiana Pacers grabbed the ball. Probably not even thinking about Dame going to 5th all time, not even thinking that that's going to be a big deal. I don't know if it even crossed their mind because Giannis went ballistic last night that he was going to want that ball, considering that Giannis has got a championship ring. Do you really need a ball that you scored 64 points after you've got an NBA championship ring? Do you really need a ball from December 13th, 2023, regular season win against the Pacers? In terms of probably special things in all three of those guys' lives, the ball probably means more to the rookie. Wouldn't you say? So, the Pacers grab the ball. I'm sure it's probably some equipment manager or some assistant coach who's just like, yep, Shibwe got his first point. Let's make sure we get him the ball. They grab it. Let's move on. Giannis is furious. Absolutely furious. So mad, in fact, that he goes running into the tunnel and running after the Indiana Pacers coaching staff and players. So, the Indiana Pacers are a pretty competitive bunch. They're a pretty good team. Where are they? They're 13-9 this season. And they just lost to the Bucks. They're probably not too happy about this. And Giannis, who just dropped 64, comes into and close to their locker room and is now demanding the game ball. Now, Brendan, I don't know what you would do, but I certainly know what I would do. If somebody came into that situation with me and I had the ball and they said, give me that ball, I would say something that I can't utter on the air, but I know it would start with go and it would end with yourself. If you know what I'm saying. Can't say the middle part. And that's exactly what the Pacers did. So the Pacers basically told Giannis to kick rocks. This is our basketball. You want another basketball, score 65 tomorrow. This is ours. This goes to our rookie. So then there's a scuffle that ensues. Halliburton comes out and is like, so the end of the night, Giannis has a ball. Now, at the press conference, when asked about it, Giannis says, well, I've got a ball. I don't even know if it's the game ball. It doesn't feel like the game ball. He said, I played 35 minutes. I know what that ball feels like. It doesn't feel like the game ball. So maybe they gave me, or they pulled a switcheroo. I don't know. But, Brendan, let's conflict resolve here. Who gets the ball?
Well, not Dame, because that's just my pettiness.
Got it.
So Giannis, probably.
So if it's between Giannis, 64 points, yep. Giannis has a championship ring. He's got a performance where I believe he scored 42 points in the NBA Finals.
He's the leader of that team, so I give it to Giannis. That's my solution, is give it to Giannis.
Over Shibwe, who has his first NBA point. Now, here's also where it gets...
Like meh.
I would say give it to the rookie. Giannis, you've got a gajillion points in the NBA. This is a random December game. Yeah, it was nice, but... How about this rookie? He's got his first point. Now,
Justin, he went undrafted. I don't even know if that guy's really that.
So he might not play by the end of the year. Could you imagine if you just had your ball? I played. Hey, kids, I know I sell insurance now, but believe it or not, I scored a point in the NBA. Here's the ball I scored it with. But now, here's an asterisk, because this may change the game a little bit. Research tells us, Brendan, this was not Oscar Shibwe's first bucket. Say, what? You just said it was his first point. No. In the in-season tournament in Vegas, Oscar Shibwe got into a game and scored a bucket, has 2 points. He doesn't have that ball. You want to know why? Those aren't official NBA points. They counted on the pool play, but once you got into the in-season tournament, and the Pacers going to the finals, they don't count. So he scored in the preseason. He scored in the in-season tournament. Has yet to score in a regular season game. The one game he does, Giannis had 64. Now, what's a better story? Let's talk this out. What's a better story if you're Oscar Shibwe? And you know what? Who knows? Maybe he goes on to have a 10-year NBA career. Hope so. Wish the best for everybody. But what's a better story? Let's say you get maybe a basketball that you warmed up with, or here's quote-unquote game ball, and you go like to tell your kids or your grandkids, like, yeah, this is what the ball would have looked like for when I scored my first point in the NBA. I don't have the real ball because Giannis scored 64 that night, and he stole it. Giannis and I that night combined for 65 points. Win, win, win. I did see Richard Jefferson go on the, because, right, what is it? Possession is 9/10 of the law, right? I learned that when I was a kid, and one of my friends stole something and then gave it to me, and then I got in trouble, and I was like, I didn't do it. And they're like, yeah, possession is 9/10 of the law. And I learned that lesson real quick in 7th grade. But the Pacers have the ball. It's theirs. Giannis, you want the ball. Last I checked, you make about $48 million a year. How much is it worth? How bad do you want the ball? Because you make about $48 million a year. $250,000, we got a deal. Give it to the kid. What a crazy, only in the NBA and only in December.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, the reaction was so unnecessary.
So unnecessary. It made Giannis look such a whiny baby.
It did. And that's how I take this away, is like, Giannis, like, you more so now than maybe any other superstar are being catered to.
Yeah.
You got Damian Lillard because you went on a podcast and said, well, I just want to be in the best place to win a championship. Like there.
And if it's not here, it might be somewhere else. I don't know.
Maybe since Kobe. I know R.I.P. Kobe. But like the way that Kobe's like, I want to be traded. Oh no, we'll get you Pau Gasol. Okay, yeah, I'm good now. So he's
and now you want the basketball.
He's being catered. Like to me, it just looks like, and maybe that's where I would give it to Giannis because the points to me are the coolest thing. Or even I'm Dame probably deserves it. I just can't see past my pettiness yet.
I give it to the kid. I give it to the young guy.
I'm not done with that yet, Justin.
Because, you think about it. Like the NFL, your first touchdown, you get the football. Your first base hit in baseball, you get the baseball. Now, there's obviously way more balls in. I hear the jokes. There's way more objects in play.
Yes, it's okay.
As soon as I said it, I heard it. Real quick, but as soon as there's about 50 baseballs that are, used in a game, if not more, and a lot of football. Apparently there's one basketball, and they're fighting over it, and I just thought Giannis looked really, really petty. All right, we're going to talk some football with Dan Pizzuta, covers the NFL, coming up in a bit. But before we get to that, do want to tell you about DiBella. That's right, I've been telling you about DiBella for a while now. Why? Because with the winter weather that can be brutal, DiBella can hook you up with a free quote on a new roof, right? If your roof is leaking or just aging, get a free quote from DiBella. They can also help you out with windows, siding. All of those improvements can save you up to 30% on your energy bills. Roofing, window siding, all sorts of renovations. Also, bath renovations, they are the best. And why am I saying they're the best? It's not just me. It's not just my opinion. 15,000 people that have gone on to Google and rated DiBella 5 stars for their work. And now is the perfect time because they have an amazing financing opportunity. 0 down, no payments until 2025. Of course, that's on approved credit, but you heard it right. 0 down, no payments until 2025. We're only in 2023 right now, and that's on approved credit for your roofing, siding, windows, or bath renovations. Visit DiBella.us for your free, no obligation appointment. They'll make updating your home super easy. DiBella, the official home improvement partner of the Portland Timbers. All right, it's getting down to the wire in the NFL. Started to see some teams separate. Some teams head the wrong direction. And there is just a mess of teams fighting for those 6th and 7th spots in the wild card. Joining us now to talk about all things NFL, friend of the program, Dan Pizzuta, who covers the league for the 33rd team. Dan, welcome back to the show. Good morning. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We're doing fantastic. Obviously, a lot of stuff to dive into with the NFL. I always, Dan, I call it kind of eating our vegetables first. Let's eat our vegetables first. Is there anything good about tonight's game? I mean, I don't want to poo-poo it, but is there anything about tonight's game that piques your interest? Because I've been trying. I know it's football on a weeknight, which is, I guess, always good. But what about tonight's game, if anything, is intriguing?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think almost any Thursday night game, I could try to figure some things out that make it interesting. But with the amount of injuries that are happening tonight and who is and is not playing, it's a hard case to make. It's a game that probably if it's it's going to be the middle of May, and we're going to be like, I could be watching a Raiders-Chargers game with backup quarterbacks going. It's something that we might be longing for at that time, but it is hard to make a very compelling case outside of, hey, it's football for tonight.
You know what? And the NFL knows that too, because sadly, hey, football's on. It's good enough for a lot of us. You mentioned the injuries. It feels like, and again, this is why I love having you on, Dan, because you look at the numbers of things and the statistics of things, whereas I am, I'm an emotional guy, and I just kind of go with anecdotal. But it feels like injuries to key players has been the theme of the NFL this entire season, right? It started 4 plays in with Aaron Rodgers. It's now worked its way through a lot of quarterbacks. We now see Justin Herbert. He's going to be gone for the year. Even Justin Jefferson, he was out and then he came back. And is Tyreek Hill healthy? But it feels like the story of the NFL this year has been injuries. Has there been more injuries? Is it just to key players? Is it just because we're talking about it more? What is your take on the amount of injuries we've seen in the NFL this year?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of those things. I think it's definitely been, to some key players. Like you said, there's Aaron Rodgers, there's Joe Burrow. It's been to a lot of high-profile quarterbacks, which I think kind of exasperates everything else that happens. We've kind of, seen offensive performance go down. There's been a lot of backups have had to play, so defenses have been, a little better coming in there. So the quality of play isn't as high. It's not dissimilar to something we saw in, 2017, I think was the last time we really saw a lot of backup quarterbacks play, and that was, before this year, one of the worst offensive seasons kind of statistically. And then there was a rebound in 2018 over the past couple of years because, quarterbacks mostly stayed healthy. So, yeah, it is a little bit of everything. It is a lot of high-profile players, especially the quarterbacks, and that kind of has a trickle-down effect to everything else that we've been seeing.
Yesterday, Cam Newton made some headlines on his podcast calling out Tua Tagovailoa, calling out Dak Prescott and Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, saying these guys are game managers, right? And we've heard that term, Dan, being thrown around a ton, really since I think all the way back in the Trent Dilfer days of the early 2000s, right? Of these guys are game managers. They're playing not to lose instead of going out and making plays to win. But I also look at the 49ers, the Lions, the Cowboys, and the Dolphins, and I think there's a lot of teams in this league who would be more than happy to have a game manager. But it feels like that's almost, Dan, kind of becoming a trend. There's the Patrick Mahomes and the Lamar Jacksons of the world, but give me a quarterback that can get the ball out fast, that will not turn the ball over, will get the ball into the hands of the playmakers and get them out in one-on-ones. It almost feels like there's more of that in the league than maybe we've ever seen before. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, and I think that's where the interesting part of, that conversation comes in with who these quarterbacks are and potentially how much of that is replaceable. And I think where, I think a lot of people have used the term, game manager as derogatory when really it isn't, because you can win with these guys when you have the type of offensive system. You look at a Jared Goff, right? He goes into terrible his rookie year, goes into this Sean McVay system. He can figure out how to win with him. That goes down a little bit because he can't quite create outside of that structure. Gets traded to Detroit. They have a good system that he can play in now, and he's playing quite well. The question then becomes, like, when you have to pay these guys into these second contracts that are second or third contracts that are becoming way more expensive than what we've seen in quarterback deals of the past. So are you paying a slightly above average quarterback pretty good money that might hurt you for what you're going to be doing in other parts of your team building? But when you're actually on the field, this shouldn't be a derogatory thing. And to put Dak Prescott in this conversation is kind of insane for what he's been doing this year, the way he's really elevated. And I think we've kind of, looked at some of the ways these other guys have been elevating. I think Tua does not get enough credit for what he does to kind of compensate for that offensive line. And I think we kind of saw that on Monday night, where there's so many injuries there. And I think that offense kind of has to operate in a very specific way in order for it to work. And Tua is a very big part of that. And once you start taking away some of that offensive line, you took away Tyreek Hill, that is a kind of very fragile environment. But he plays a very vital part in that. I think the same thing for, Brock Purdy. He's not, he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's playing really well. He's better than what Jimmy Garoppolo was doing there. So I think you have all of these quarterbacks who are playing well in what they're doing, and you can win with them. Where we start to talk about them in a different place is when you have to start paying these guys a little more than what they're making now. But I think that's a completely different conversation than what, Cam Newton was trying to say, which I think he was, a little off base trying to, throw a lot of these guys under the bus, because I think a lot of them are right now doing things well to help their teams win.
Dan Pizzuta, who covers the NFL, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Let's talk about the AFC, because at the beginning of the season, you probably would have looked at the Kansas City Chiefs. You'd probably looked at the Buffalo Bills, and maybe you've thrown in the Ravens as well in terms of some of these teams to beat. I know the Browns were in there as well. Obviously, the Dolphins, the Ravens, Jags, Chiefs are all leading their division, all with a chance to win the AFC and to go to the Super Bowl. But you've also got Bills, Browns, Steelers, Bengals. The Colts are 7-6. The Texans are 7-6. The Broncos are 7-6. And it looks like there is a whole slog. When you look at teams outside of the division leaders who you would say keep an eye on in the AFC, who are those teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think you still have to start with the Bills there, because, I think they still are. They've kind of always been the Bills that we thought they would be. They're playing quite well. They have one of the highest point differentials in the league. When they have lost, it has not been by a lot. So they've been in all of these games. It's not like they've suddenly turned into this terrible team. So I think we're kind of seeing, we kind of saw against the Chiefs, the luck that they kind of had in some of those games turned their way. When in previous games there were, maybe a play or two that turned into a loss. But they have not been bad at any point. So if they are a team that's going to be able to sneak into the playoffs, which 2 weeks ago it looked like, I think if you looked at a lot of numbers, it was about a 15% chance that they were going to be able to get in to the playoffs at all. But now with some of those other teams losing, falling back a little bit, you put the Bills in there. They are still the type of team. The defense is not as good as maybe we thought it could have been in the beginning of the year, but the offense is just as good. Josh Allen is still playing really good football. They're starting to figure some things out, move some things around. They're getting healthier on that side of the ball. The Bills are still who we thought they were, even if that record does not show it right now.
All right, moving on to the NFC. As I mentioned right at the top of the segment, Dan, you are great because you look at the statistics and you look at the numbers, whereas I kind of believe uniforms are magic, and for that I do not buy into the Dallas Cowboys. They are 10-3, but they're still wearing those Cowboys uniforms, Dan. They are still the same Cowboys team that seems to tease their fan base like Charlie Brown in the football, and maybe this is the year we're going to be able to kick it, and then Lucy pulls it away every single time. Is there anything about the Cowboys this year that tells you maybe it's a different Cowboys team? Maybe this is a different team with Dak and company that can go into the postseason and make some noise, or is there still caution around the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for having some caution, but right now this looks like a very different the Cowboys team, and it kind of looks like a team that has finally figured out what they want to be on offense in a good way. They are really putting the ball in Dak's hands, and he's running with it. I think he probably should be the MVP favorite right now with what they're doing. But I think you take a look at what they're doing, even just some of the adjustments they made in season. I think you saw early in the season they did want to play that kind of McCarthy ball a little bit. They wanted to try to run the ball. It was quick passes that were going short. But you look at what they've been doing after the bye, and it's a completely different team on that side of the ball. Longer developing passes. They've been pushing the ball down the field more. They've been moving CeeDee Lamb around more. He's been playing basically 50% in the slot, 50% outside, and that's really opened up what they can do with everyone else. Brandon Cooks has been a bigger piece of the offense, so that's really opened some things up. They're passing at a much higher rate than they were earlier in the season, and Dak is just playing incredibly well. So they've really embraced what they do well, and they've put that to an extreme over the bye, and that's really why they've been playing so good on that side of the ball. And it's credit to Mike McCarthy, who I'll be honest, I did not think he had that in him to really change mid-season the way he did. They're a completely different football team than they were even at the start of the year, what they wanted to be. They really embraced that. You add the defense that's just really good at creating havoc and forcing turnovers. And that's always going to help in the way they do that, and that's just kind of schematically how they're set up to just kind of create that type of chaos. So I just think this is a very different Cowboys team than it has been in the past, and we've kind of already seen an evolution this season, which I think is fairly encouraging.
All right, we've talked about some good teams. Let's come here to the Pacific Northwest and talk about a bad one, because the Seattle Seahawks are an absolute mess. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 5 of their last 6. It doesn't get easier because they get to play the Eagles coming up this weekend. Pete Carroll has been pretty vocal these last couple of days, talking about his frustrations with the roster, his frustrations with some of the players in the locker room. There's worry that maybe Pete Carroll has potentially lost the locker room, which I would imagine at that point is maybe time to find new guys. How did it all fall apart for the Seahawks, Dan? Because it looked at the beginning of the season that Geno was going to be their guy. He got his contract. They were, they were right there in the division, and then boy, they ran up against the Ravens about a month and a half ago, and they have been a mess ever since. What the heck happened?
Yeah, it's been a couple of things, and it would be probably easier if it was just one thing that had gone wrong, but it hasn't been. A couple of things, there's been a couple of the turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. You deal with some offensive line injuries that have really hurt the running game at some point. It's can be a very explosive run game, but down-to-down consistency has not quite been there. So that has been part of it. And then when you look at the defense, this is just kind of a team that hasn't totally been able to figure out what it's good at on defense. It's tried a couple different styles, over the past couple of years. It's kind of, move itself around a little bit in some of their schematic things, and they just have not been able to, be a good defense. And I think that is putting a little more pressure on the offense, and the offense just doesn't really have that in it to make up for some of the lack of production they're having on that side of the ball. You still have some really good building blocks there. I think Devin Witherspoon is one of the most fun defensive players to watch already in the league. So you have pieces like that. The pass rush it's hot and cold. So it's just, with the Seahawks, it feels like everything hasn't been hitting at the same time, which I think has kind of exposed some of the holes they've had in the roster. They have some parts are going hot, some parts are going cold, and it hasn't been clicking at the same time, which I think they really were. Some in the beginning of the season, a lot of times last year, and I think that's just been they've just been a little too inconsistent to really put some things together.
Dan Pizzuta joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio, covers the NFL for the 33rd team. All right, one last thing before we let you go, Dan. Really appreciate your time. There's been a couple of head coaches already been fired. There's a couple of head coaches that are clearly on the hot seat and maybe are already starting to clean out their desk. And then there was a report that came out a couple of days ago that maybe potentially the Patriots and Bill Belichick are heading to a mutual breakup, that maybe the decision has already been made. If you were to guess, and again, this is an unfair question, and we'll write down the answer in pencil, not pen. If you had to guess, is Belichick coaching the Patriots next year? Is he not in football? Is there a deal? Is he maybe headed out west to the Chargers to take over that job, even though it's not open yet, but it may potentially be open? What do you, if you were to guess what Bill Belichick does in these next couple of months, what do you think happens?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the most fascinating questions going through the end of the season. I think we're going to be looking at a lot of playoff teams and good teams, but I think what the Patriots decide to do is right now they are in line for the second overall pick. That is likely going to be a quarterback, which is probably going to be just kind of, at least in that way, a start of a new era of Patriots football. Do you want Bill Belichick to be overseeing a rookie quarterback? Do you want, considering what they have done on offense over the past couple of years, it's really only gotten worse. Bill O'Brien was supposed to come in and fix Mac Jones, have at least a professional offense. The offense statistically has been almost worse than it was last year. So do we believe that there is, just ways of fixing that? If a new quarterback who is, going to be either, Caleb Williams or Drake May, one of these highly thought of quarterbacks coming in, is that something you want Bill Belichick to be overseeing? I really don't know. It kind of seems like reading the tea leaves. It might be something where there is a mutual parting ways, and Belichick decides what he wants to do, whether he wants to keep coaching. He's very famously brief when he does press conferences, but he's a great media guy. I think we kind of saw that when he did College Game Day last week before the Army-Navy game. If he wanted to be on TV, he would be great if he wanted to. So I think there are a lot of options. It kind of does seem like that has run its course. A lot of Super Bowls, a lot of success, but yes, things like that do they have to end. And this kind of seems like it might be a time for a clean break.
You can follow Dan on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Dan Pizzuta, and you can hear him from time to time on this particular radio program. Hey, Dan, thanks so much. Have a terrific rest of the week. Have a great weekend. We'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. Thank you.
Yeah, man, that Belichick Patriots thing, because I mean, as nuts as it sounds, Belichick, maybe, I don't even know if it's a maybe, greatest football coach of all time. You may come up with an argument here or there, but if you're going to have that discussion, Belichick is the first name you're going to talk about because of rings and trophies and all that stuff. Plus, his job as a defensive coordinator with the New York Giants and all that. But to think but he doesn't strike me as a guy who wants to take on Drake May. Do you know what I mean? Or even Caleb Williams and make that guy into a star in three. It just doesn't seem like the Belichick. I think timetable.
I think it'd be horrible. I think Bill Belichick would destroy Caleb Williams. I think what makes Caleb Williams special is his personality, his uniqueness, and what is the Patriot way. You are all the same.
Yeah.
You are
You're
all part
dogs.
of a.
We'll treat you all the same, like dogs.
Am I wrong though?
Go back to Tom Brady was a young quarterback that Belichick kind of. I don't know. Maybe made him into Tom Brady. Maybe he was Tom Brady the entire time. Who knows, right? Don't know. But you got to remember early on, it wasn't like Tom Brady came in and was like Justin Herbert. It was that was a guy we never heard of. Third string to start the season. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right. We've got the RCM mailbag. Speaking of interesting, that's going to be coming up next to wrap up the big show, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up the big show. All in all, I think pretty solid show today. If I do say so myself. We laughed, we learned. Had some passionate takes. Got some great information from Dan Pizzuta. That guy got all the numbers. Comes in with all the analytics, all the stats, and he's like, yeah, I know you might be thinking the Cowboys are going to blow it, but you look at the numbers. Dak might be the MVP. I haven't, I'm sure it's been out there, but, when you think of, MVPs of the league, has Dak Prescott been in the conversation? I mean, probably now when you look at how good they are. But with all the greatness, we still have a job to do. And that is get to the RCM mailbag to wrap up the show, and it starts now.
It's time for the RCM mailbag. With any question, any topic, Justin can't duck the tough question. What do we have first?
All right, Justin, we're going to continue to stay in the holiday theme of the mailbag, at least leading us up to Christmas.
I might be doing some holiday baking this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
I may have some treats coming because, I can't keep them in the house.
Yeah.
I may have some treats coming your way.
Yeah. Okay.
On Monday.
Okay.
Plus, I don't think this is telling tales outside of school. Brendan's chipperness elevates from Monday to Friday. By tomorrow, you're skipping into work on Fridays.
Yeah, my Saturdays are free now, so I'm pretty happy.
Your chipperness. So maybe I'm going to try to elevate your Monday chipperness and bring in some tasty treats.
Let's see, is it a full? Yeah, we got one more full work week, and then we get a couple days off.
Couple days off,
got
and then
the Sun Bowl.
Got a Sun Bowl.
Yeah, I'm like
you're not gonna be on the show for the Sun Bowl. You got work to do.
Yeah, I'm seeing what's same with signing day next week. I'm scheduled to not be here, but I'm trying to see if because Oregon State's recruiting class is basically nothing now.
They got.
Yeah, well,
they got a guy from Colorado. I saw they got a running back from Colorado.
Yeah, no,
Deion says he's a dog on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I meant Jonathan stole all the high school kids. I was like,
don't they have 8 guys?
I think we're down to 7.
Down to 7
as of this morning, I think. So yeah, it was it was 20, and
it's tough.
Yeah, Justin told me off segment. He said I'm allowed to be petty at Jonathan Smith, but not Damian Lillard. So if I can only have one, Johnny, you're gonna get my pettiness all the way from Tigard, Oregon to East Lansing, Michigan. Anyway, let's go ahead and start up this holiday themes, and we'll stick on this because we got to some good ones. Justin, have you ever re-gifted?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, I have re-gifted.
What's the worst thing you've re-gifted?
Oh, boy. I've never re-gifted a gift card, but that would probably be the worst, right? If you get a gift card from someone and then you gave that gift card to someone else. I think I've got, free stuff from work that I have re-gifted. Because, you work in media long enough, you get some free stuff, you get some gift certificates, right? You get some trade. I'm pretty sure I've re-gifted free stuff from work. That's probably the worst I've ever re-gifted. I don't do it often. But yeah. I think I've re-gifted swag from work. It's hey, somebody would definitely like this. Here I think it was I went to a golf tournament one time, and they were giving out the Tiger Woods golf, I think PS2, or they had both PS2 and Xbox, and I don't play either. But I got one of those. I re-gifted that bad boy. Felt really good. Here you go. And they're whoa, Tiger Woods golf. I was yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it was a gift.
Okay.
You ever re-gifted? Sure you have.
Not that
We've all done it, right?
Not that
and by the way, if somebody wants to re-gift me something I want, I don't care where you got it from. I'll take it.
Not that I can think of, but yeah, I don't think I ever have, actually. Not that I can think of. So yeah, I was just curious.
Sometimes you go to I've been pretty lucky. You go to events. I've been to Final Four. I've been to you go to bowl games, and some bowl games you get really nice stuff. Fiesta Bowl gave me a pair of Ray-Bans one time. That was nice. What'd you get last year at the Vegas Bowl?
Pink Panther tumbler that was since thrown away.
Yeah. That one's tough.
Okay, it was still Vegas. Chad left his right in the press box.
Oh, yeah,
probably. Right on this table.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
I think I've regifted some bowl gifts.
I got some cards. I still have Las Vegas Bowl playing cards that have the Beaver and Florida logo on it. That's kind of cool. LA Bowl, it was COVID, so swag didn't exist.
Need no swag.
It was just, here's a Jimmy Kimmel sandwich, and make sure to wear your mask in the press box. What a time to be alive.
What a time.
Anywho, let's go up to the next one, Justin. Which one of your coworkers, so our coworkers in this case,
yes.
and let's just stick with the Rip City Radio crew here. So
Got it.
I can't say anyone else on this floor for me is more than a colleague as far as someone I know.
So coworkers right now, I can count them very easy. It's Chad, it's Dwight, it's Burkhart, it's Shacker, and it's you. Those five.
Who is the likeliest to wait until the last minute to do their Christmas shopping?
Ooh. Well, Burkhart, he's got the kids, so probably. You just said you were almost done. I'm gonna say Dwight.
Dwight, yeah.
And I probably am wrong on that, but I don't know. No. Changed my mind. Shacker.
I would have guessed our good buddy Michael Shacker too.
Michael Shacker,
but no,
because he's got 1,000 things he's doing, right?
True.
Probably Christmas gift buying. Yeah. Shacker's
knowing us, Justin, he gonna text you right now and be like, nope, I did it last time.
I was thinking about Dwight definitely would be like you in the fact that he's all online, and probably order the gift wrapping and have it sent gift wrapped to, you know what I mean? I've done that before. That was awesome. One-stop shop. Can't really do that with the wife anymore. Can't order off of Amazon and have it gift wrapped by Amazon. And it's you got to put in the effort a little bit.
I do get my stuff gift wrapped by Amazon. It's so great. $3.99 a bag.
And I know Chad's he probably is Black Friday guy. Because, he's up on all the deals. He's probably Black Friday. I would say Shacker. Yeah, probably last minute gift buyer.
To close out, Justin, let's do something that will, in a fun way, trigger everybody listening right now. Simple yes or no will do. We ask this question every year. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
It's not a Christmas movie.
Always have to ask this, baby.
I've got 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
All right, here we go. In 30 seconds, here's what makes or does not make a Christmas movie. If a movie does not work if you eliminate the Christmas holiday, then it's a Christmas movie. Die Hard, you take away, you could have had that meeting or that party at that Nakatomi Plaza at any point in time. Christmas does not make the movie. A Christmas movie, if you have Elf and you take away Christmas, that's a weird movie,
yes,
right?
It is.
So that makes it a Christmas movie. If you take away Christmas and the plot still works, not a Christmas movie.
I'm with you.
Simple as that. That's going to do it. All right, thanks to Dan Pizzuta. Thanks to super producer Brendan. Thanks to all of you. Oh, it's a Fancy Coffee Friday. Tomorrow morning, we'll talk to you then on 620 Rip City Radio.